History has been made. Black Panther has been nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture of 2018, making it the first superhero movie in history to be so honored. An achievement that the film can rank next to its other myriad records, including highest-grossing solo superhero film, highest-grossing feature by a black director, highest opening weekend gross by a predominantly black cast, and most individual instances of boring, pedantic assholes on YouTube attempting to sincerely convince someone that slow-tracking through a handful of frames of less-than-perfect CGI is definitive, objective proof that one of the year's most otherwise celebrated films is in fact actually overrated. But yeah, in the grand back and forth of MCU versus DCEU, or whatever it's called now, Marvel got to the Best Picture stage first, points to the filmmakers, Disney, and the fanboys who will use these points to fight too hard about stuff that doesn't actually involve them. In all seriousness, this is a pretty big deal, though sure, it's still going to take a while before conventional middlebrow drama, probably starring a white guy, stops being the default setting for important Oscar movie, but comic book-inspired Afrofuturist science fiction epic now being able to equal Best Picture nominee is about as game-changing as an Academy Award precedent can get. Of course, the only people more secondhand psyched to have Black Panther among the year's nominees is the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences itself. For years now, the propensity of Academy voters to fail to ultimately nominate either enough popular movies that lots of people have actually seen and thus might tune in to root for or see their favorite stars from, or films of diverse cast and crew reflecting the evolving state of the audience itself, leading to increasingly declining ratings for the show that exists to promote the Academy's work in film preservation, image upkeep, and other endeavors has been a big concern to the Academy as a body. So when Black Panther was just burning down the box office all last year and this big gigantic cultural phenomenon was building behind it with multi-generations of families coming out in cosplay, charity drives organizing to bus school kids to see it, and culture writers talking about what a huge game changer it was, even Spike Lee only had good things to say, the whole award season prognosticating matrix could pretty much feel the Academy freaking out about its membership's quirks in terms of, oh guys, come on, it feels like every other goddamn year people either get pissed off and call us out of touch for not nominating some huge, clearly deserving comic book movie, or out of touch and racist for not nominating a huge, clearly deserving black movie. This year, that's going to be the same fucking movie, so can we please just do the right thing, as opposed to that year when we snubbed Do the Right Thing? But they did. The superhero movie curse is broken. It did get nominated, and that's pretty much victory for now in terms of the genre, right? Because this can't possibly go all the way and win, can it? Well, probably not. I mean, it doesn't have a Best Director nomination, which is bullshit, but then again, this category is weird this year, and I think it's probably going to Spike Lee anyway, since this is his first nomination period. You want to talk about bullshit. But yeah, that's usually a not a chance sign for Best Picture nominees. Also, it has no screenplay nomination, and they didn't nominate any of the actors, even though a lot of people expected Michael B. Jordan to get a Best Supporting Actor nod, which indicates a lack of enthusiasm among the Academy's actors block, and there's more actors in the Academy than any other group. Usual story for genre nominees, although it did just win Best Ensemble at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, which could be significant, he said, hurriedly rewriting the script on Sunday night. On the other hand, there really isn't a runaway favorite this year, and everything that might otherwise be so has big downsides, or has developed them. So it's worth thinking about at least, stipulating up front, of course, that best movie of any context is totally subjective thing, that the Oscars have always been at least in part a political institution, not as in like government or politics, don't be stupid, but as in how people and institutions relate to and perceive one another politics. I mean, they didn't start the Oscars back in 1929 because everyone in Hollywood was thinking, you know what we're missing? Trophies. They started it because the film industry had been getting its ass kicked by yellow journalism, tabloid fearmongering, kicked up around stuff like the Fatty Arbuckle scandal, and putting on a yearly awards show celebrating the best stuff Hollywood did that year was the best way to guarantee movie stars would be seen attending a respectable, family-friendly big showbiz party once a year. So pretty much by design, all the awards, but especially Best Picture, have always been partly about not only what we, meaning the Academy, thought was the best, but also what we want the public face of the Hollywood film industry to be presented as. So that's the real main reason that most Oscar winners have been big, serious dramas, and until recently there's been that perceived bias against sci-fi, fantasy, horror, animation, superheroes, whatever. They get up to the line and go, wait, do we really want the face of the medium to be like monsters or pie fights or people in costumes shooting lasers at each other? But this year, every major nominee has a downside that would normally be fatal, but it can't be for one of them, and that's kind of fascinating. Like Green Book, for example, feels like the most conventional Oscar movie out of all of them, and even though I didn't really care for it, I think this or Roma is still probably the safe bet. But the last several years of Oscar everything have been about getting rid of the idea that this is still the same Academy that once gave a prize to Driving Miss Daisy. Plus, one of the real main-life characters' families is angry about it, and audiences didn't really show up to see Green Book, so it's not like this is actually some kind of middlebrow hit crowd pleaser anymore. A Star is Born, same kind of story, surprisingly mixed reviews, and the Academy seems to be annoyed with Bradley Cooper, thus snubbing him for Best Director, so that's probably out even though it looked like a frontrunner until it, came out. Roma is beloved, but the Best Foreign category basically exists so subtitled movies don't get Best Picture and turn off Joe Sixpack audiences, plus it was a Netflix release and the Academy includes a lot of old schoolers who hate Netflix for the perception that they're destroying theatrical distribution as a business. Like, that's a real thing. The Favorite's whole point is that it only looks like a stuffy old-fashioned Oscar bait movie when in fact it's actually super kinky and weird, bound to turn a lot of people off. But hey, maybe that one. Bohemian Rhapsody should honestly be the shoe-in given that it was a gigantic hit, a biopic, a crowd pleaser, and it's a drama about one of the only intergenerational popular rock acts that Academy voter boomers and their grandkids both agree is a good band, but oh yeah, right, hey there, multiple sexual assault allegation magnate Bryan Singer. Yeah, not the headline Oscar wants the Monday after in the age of Me Too. Plus the movie isn't actually all that good. Vice, clearly the Academy liked this one more than I did, but political leanings of Hollywood even taken into account, I'd be somewhat surprised to see such a blatant and single-minded political takedown actually go all the way. BlacKkKlansman, probably the best shot Spike Lee is ever going to have, though it's not really a conventional drama or comedy, somewhere in between, and it's a little bit edgy still, and it doesn't exactly send you home happy. And then there's Black Panther, ew, comic book movie, sci-fi, kids junk, gross. Don't forget, not that I'd blame you since everyone else forgot about this movie already, in 2014, the Best Picture winner was Birdman, a movie about how superhero movies are a giant garish spectacle smothering the film industry and how much they suck. The irony, in my opinion anyway, is that if the genre bias wasn't a real thing, and to be fair, Lord of the Rings and Shape of Water both won, Avatar, District 9, Fury Road, Arrival, Get Out all got nominated, this is getting better, I feel like you'd have to actually call Black Panther an obvious easy favorite regardless of how you feel about the movie. I mean, it was a huge hit with audiences across the board, pretty much every demographic all over the world, even people who don't care for superhero movies tended to like this one just fine. It actually has the best reviews from professional critics by aggregate via Rotten Tomatoes, so yes, grain of salt, yeah. Of all the 8 nominees, in terms of sustained audience reaction and what the film ended up meaning to people, it's the only Best Picture nominee you could fairly describe as a full-blown cultural phenomenon in the vein of Titanic or Return of the King since, yeah, pretty much Titanic or Return of the King. I mean, I guess Fury Road maybe, but you gotta be generous about the audience attendance on that one. But moreover, again, without any prejudice on my part entering into the discussion, it's hard to argue any other film this year better fits the profile of the best version of what the Hollywood film industry does best, which is supposed to be the Oscars' whole deal, remember. When people think about the quintessential Best Picture movies of the past, the golden age of movies, etc., it tends to be, well, you know what it tends to be. Gone with the Wind, West Side Story, Lawrence of Arabia, Ben-Hur, Casablanca, The Godfather. Big, important stories with the biggest stars, soaring visuals, gorgeous costumes, dramatic music, because that's what Hollywood specialized and excelled at. The life's blood of the whole town. Well, that was then, this is now, and now in 2019, for a lot longer than that, frankly, films like Black Panther, Wonder Woman, the other Marvel movies, other good comic movies in general, Star Wars, Pixar, blockbuster franchise genre fare, for better or worse, is the mainstream American movie industry, is Hollywood, in the same way that biblical epics and costume dramas and lavish musicals were for my parents' and grandparents' generations. This is what all demographic 4-quadrant mainstream mass audience filmmaking is at this moment in time, for better or for worse. So if you've got a nominated movie from that same pedigree, one that's also one of the best entries in its genre, a massive hit with audiences, the best reviewed film of all the nominees, and it's also, apart from that, a landmark moment for representation of black actors, black filmmakers, crew, designers, etc., and it's a film of genuine social importance that uses its blockbuster platform to speak thoughtfully to major world issues. I mean, since objective best movie is otherwise impossible to determine, what else do you give out this trophy for? As I said, the main cool historic thing is that this got nominated. The door's been kicked in, bandages ripped off. It will now be that much easier for more boundary-expanding genre films and films of all type with diverse casts to get in the future going forward. All good things. But to the extent that I'll root for anything this year, I'll probably root for this one, because I just don't know how you get to this can't possibly win Best Picture and still say Best Picture really still means anything anymore, or at the very least that it's in any way fulfilling the purpose Best Picture was ever meant to. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.